All right, shalom, shalom, Pastor Corey here, and excited to come out and speak with the family today concerning, what we talked about the oppressor is manifested. I want to talk about that because this is what's on my heart concerning that. I'm really getting ready to dig in and do a series of small videos because there's some things we really got to pull out concerning the oppressor is manifested. One, I already know you're going to get a lot of flack from people that think this is a racial thing, but what I'm finding out as one of the seeds and children of the past, the atrocity that we experienced, better known as slavery, we're finding out, a lot of things that's providing hope, and not hope in terms of getting things done here, in the earth concerning myself, my family, but more so from a restoration standpoint. Restoration has a lot to do with mindset. Restoration has a lot to do with people coming to the likes of receiving truth. And that goes for anybody who shall come to the way, because there's a conversion that has to take place. And I was listening to this Ashkenazi Jew who was talking about the transatlantic slave trade, and he used the word in there. And when he was talking about the sages who did a transmission of the Torah, and he said that some of the best brothers or best Jews were converts. And when I look at Christianity, I look at religion, we no longer feel like we are converted. We don't even use that term when it comes to conversion, because it's a religion. So you just join a religion opposed to what's being exposed in the form of knowledge concerning Yah's people. Because you got to understand this on a spectrum. There's a time where Yah's people were here and they did not know who they were. And so they were going through this time of hurt and sorrow and mistreatment in this country. And then on the opposite end of that, you got people who don't want that to be a valid point for you to return to the truth. But in that spectrum, Yah knew who you were. He knows who his children are. He knows every captivity they've been in. He knows every aspect that he spoke concerning the curses and how his children would fall in there. He even told Moshe, before Moshe had went over into a period of rest, he knew what was going to happen with them. And he told it to him. And so then when the expectation of those things begin to unfold, then we can see that those things were true. Just like with us who are now the seeds and the descendants of the slaves who were mistreated in this country, where their children went through the civil rights era and the lynching era and all those other eras that took place. And so I'm the children of some of these folks. I got an uncle that's he's pissed off, about those things because he's experienced a lot of things from the 50s. He experienced those things coming down as a, young boy. He experienced the 60s. And when you got that, you got people who got things in their heart. But I see deeper now. And I'm seeing deeper, not in the value of hate. I'm seeing because the questions I had as a young boy is being answered. I'm returning to the love of the Most High Yah. See what's happening to me opposed to what's happening to all these other folks and these Hebrew Israelite camps and whoever else is that I'm having a love for Yah because he stood firm on his word, and he chastised me enough to cause me to turn away from the life that I was living to want to seek him out. And in seeking him out, my questions had begun to be answered. See, and what that is, and so let me put that in perspective for you. When I say questions are being answered. See, in my life, I always questioned where I didn't have hate in my heart for white and black, but I received this experience that has come on in the form of growing up in the neighborhood, cops pulling us over. You know, you digging in my food, you know, that I brought from Taco Bell back then, you know, searching for drugs, and then you wrap my tacos back up and give it to me. And, you know, I was a college student at that time. I wasn't a thug. I wasn't running around shooting and robbing and killing. I was going to school. I was playing football, and I was glad that I made it out of the treachery of the neighborhood that I grew up in. And so, but you got things like that. My first day on campus, somebody rolled by and screamed out, "Go home, you nigger." You don't even know me. So I have tons of experiences, but guess what? I've never, ever had it in my heart to go and want to shoot up a place full of white people. I never had it in my heart to want to go and destroy all white people off the earth. That's never been in my DNA. But when I come to the ways of the Most High, I found out how Yah has turned his children over to an enemy who have carried out so many things against these people. And so much as now all the hidden things where growing up as a little boy, you know, not ever seeing anything in textbooks about myself, that's a horrible feeling when you want to know your origin. You want to know what it is, and people have told you so much. See, you haven't experienced that. You can track down your stuff. I'm tracking it down. I'm tracking it right down in the book. And what it's doing is raising up an army. And so in the knowing, in the learning, and looking at the spectrum, what it is doing for us is giving us an opportunity to begin to see the word of Yah be unfold before our eyes, and it's giving those who are his children, because it's like this. You know, we had a gentleman come to Sabbath yesterday. This guy is Igbo. He is Igbo. Yes, indeed. He's Igbo. And, you know, some people couldn't understand him because of his accent, but I heard him. And what was powerful about it, he gave a analogy about this dog and the eagle egg. And he gave it, and I'm not going to spend too much time in, but he talked about how the egg cracked. The dog nourished the egg until the egg hatched. Till the eagle was hatched out of the egg, rather. And as the young eagle began to grow, the eagle began to follow the dog around. And the dog was teaching the eagle his ways. And so it was hard for the young eagle to adapt, but yet it followed the dog around and began to try to live as the dog taught it. And one day, an adult eagle flew by, and it called out to the young eagle that didn't know it was an eagle. And when he called out, something inside of that eagle rose up. That call was familiar to that young eagle. And that call struck something in that eagle enough that when that eagle, that adult eagle cried out and called out to it enough, that eagle began to come in contact with all of its natural instincts, flight, the call back to the adult eagle. And that's what's happening. When he gave that analogy yesterday, it was powerful, because that's what's happening. When we begin to open up the books and we begin to search through without you. See, you don't want us to do it. And some of you all who have prejudices in your heart, and you have different analogies on what's happening, you're going to give a theory and you're going to give a philosophy on what is actually going on. But I don't need it. And I don't have a blood test to turn into you to say that I'm from the tribe of Judah or I'm from Israel, this and that. No, I don't have it. And I won't produce it. I'm not worried about producing it. But the call of the word of the Heavenly Father, his voice is on that word that's in that book. It's calling out. And it's a deep call. And it's beginning to shake people at their very foundation. And so this is why I'm going to continue digging in this series of the oppressor is manifested, because the Bible has prophesied against the seed of Japhet. And there's many things that were done, according to the seed of Japhet, in the enlarging and the increasing in the earth. It's all around us. It's everywhere. This is the time of the Gentiles. And so in that, then I see people that wouldn't normally listen. I'll give you an example. I brought a young man into the office today, and I pleaded with him. I showed him 3 things. So I didn't spend more than 5 to 8 minutes with him, because he was downstairs coaching. They're having a basketball tournament here at the gym. But I sat him down. I showed him the video of the monument that they have where the slaves all have yokes of iron around their neck. And there's one daughter of Zion. There's one slave, female slave, that she's having a baby while she's in distress. And you can see it on her face. You can just see that whoever that was, that woman was troubled. See, there's a lot of pain that attached to it that you don't want people talking about. There's a lot of just entangled things that's woven into this DNA, into me. Because it's been centuries and years upon years where this hurt been passed down, and you want to turn it into black supremacy and all. I tell you, this stuff is off the chain. And you don't understand that. But when I sat there and I talked to this boy about this thing, I talked to him about this subject, he immediately made contact with something that he hadn't made contact with his whole entire life. He heard today. And it struck a chord in him. Guess what? And it wasn't hurt. It was a awe that went off in his mind. It was a desire to get back in contact with the creator of all. When he left out of here from the conversation he had, he thanked me, and he wants something sent to him so that this thing that was lit inside of him, this thing that began to churn, that it can go forth now, and that he can begin to find out the things that he don't know. Because what was shocking to him was that, why is it that I did not know these things before? And I only shared a few things. I showed him that map of Africa. I showed him where the kingdom of Judah was there. I talked to him about that process on how they migrated down there after fleeing from Israel. I showed him that video, and then I showed him where it was written in the curses in Deuteronomy 28:48, were talked about in nakedness. They were naked. In thirst. It talked about, and their enemy shall put a yoke of iron about thy neck. I showed him that. And here it is. And then not only that, I talked to him about how these things was going to be as a sign and a wonder on the descendants and upon the fathers forever. When I talked to him about that, it resonated. It resonated. Guess what? Am I preaching some hate? No. Guess what? Now I'm going to talk to him about the same thing that we talked about yesterday. How this is a portion, it is an allotment that went forth in the earth with the forefathers, that the reason why we should return to our rightful royal mindset and quit looking for handouts, quit looking around for answers in organizations, quit looking around for answers in things that don't mean a damn thing. Return to a mindset that's going to allow you now to be able to stand. You can't return to a mindset until you start to look around and see the position of the Gentiles. Do you see the position of Japhet in the earth? He has enlarged and increased, and he has taken his position in the earth. You got to see his position so you can see yours in restoration. You got to be able to see it so that when you begin to stand now, as these things begin to fall, erode, and crumble, as you look at the New World Order and you see that these folks have built a platform for themselves off of your backs, off the backs of your grandparents and great-grandparents. When I was talking to him about my grandmother picking cotton, guess what? Somebody made a lot of damn money off my grandma and her mother picking cotton. So you ain't gonna tell me. I'm looking at these allotments, and so we get ready to go around, and I'm filming. I'm gonna go right there in Overland Park. I'm gonna film all these big businesses. You know, one of my clients was talking in the gym about all of these facilities that this, you know, Scott Gallagher and, you know, all these other folks are building here. And they just building them at will. I don't have a problem. They rubbing each other's back. They got money. They even talking about how much financial backing that they got. And somebody will look at this video and say, well, sound like you have a problem that you didn't get out and do. Man, listen, go ahead with all of that. Maybe you need to go see one of those videos that's on Facebook that they got when they talking about what privilege is. When they got all of these people starting at the same position, they walking across this field, and the man began to ask questions about, you know, who in life has ever experienced this? Who's experienced this? And you look up in front, guess who up there? The seed of Japhet. You ain't having all them experiences, but they call it white privilege. See, I ain't, again, this ain't about white or black, because there's brothers and sisters that are going to come in that's going to have greater names than sons and daughters, that they're going to be from other ethnicities, other races. They're going to be from other nations. And they're going to be damn good brothers and sisters. But as a whole, as Yah has wrote about the prophecies that's going to come down upon the Gentiles, you're going to understand something after we get done laying this thing out, because we're going to take time. They're going to be little short videos, but we're going to make it so that you can watch it, because I want to go point by point from their teaching. I want to start digging things out, and I want to keep adding to it. And we're going to make sure that we put it in a listing on this YouTube page so that you can keep going back and digging into all those short clips, because you got to get this in you, Israel. You got to understand. See, the thing about this, and I'm going to close this video out, is that I've been praying about this because I see how we are beginning to live when we are separating and we don't have what everybody else have. You know, people are starting to eliminate marriage licenses and birth certificates and social security cards and all these, other things that is given that wasn't, it's not wrote in the book. It was never a thing. But guess what? It would be okay if it was used for a purpose of really identifying people. But guess what? It's something behind it. You're taking people rights with it, and you are taking birth certificates and use them as bond certificates, and you are having banks in Washington D.C. stamp these bond certificates in trade in value of financial gain off of people who are nothing more than chattel to you. You're using people. It don't matter who it is. It's all people. You're using them. So when you find that and you find people like us who want to be free, our only option is returning to the Most High Yah, and we're returning to the full truth. And so this is my point. No matter who you are, white, black, Chinese, you better come into this and you better receive the full truth. So it's hard to believe, and I see it, because I see people who come into this truth that are of Caucasian descent. And guess what? It's broken down. If you Caucasian, guess what? It's broken down. You're not from Shem. Not for what we read yesterday. It said that Japhet, the land you was given, was cold. It was up north. It was by the Caucasus Mountains. Ham was given a land that was hot. The land that Shem was given was neither hot nor cold. It was in the center of the earth. It said Mount Zion was as the navel in the center of the earth. It was near Eden. Mount Sinai was near. That's where the land of Shem was. And so when you look at all of these things, who's dwelling in the land, all these things, it's undeniable. Man, I can't hear now. I don't give a damn about your comment on this video. I don't. I'm just telling you that truth is coming out, and I'm going to get people who's willing to hear it, no matter what. When I come to you, no matter if you white or black, I'm telling you this truth. I ain't telling you, it ain't beating you down with Deuteronomy 28. I'm telling you, we getting ready to uncover something. And we're going to keep seeking the Most High, that he allow our mouths to tell the truth about what has went on, what has happened, so that we can get his people, those who have ears to hear. Those who have ears to hear. Those who have ears to hear. I ain't worried about if you ain't got no damn ears to hear. Don't hear and get the hell off this channel. Simple. But those who got ears to hear, let's go down this journey together, and let's go and be the people who Yah desired, so that when it is time for him to rise up, all shall be well. Bless you, in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, the Son of Yah. Let's get on this journey, and let's go get our brothers and our sisters. Shalom, shalom.